Corner, we discuss, and we have an update on Kevin Durant. Could Houston be getting good news on the way for Game 2? Also, we have an update on Ant-Man and the Timberwolves. Shams is here with all of the details. NBA Today starts right now. Friends, we're in it. We're here.
I'm talking about in it.
It is the best time of the season. Wendy, can you feel it?
Yes, absolutely.
He can feel it. Here's what the bracket looks like after a weekend of Game 1s. The most surprising win? Probably the Magic, right? I was in Oklahoma City. The forecast, it was a thunderstorm.
Stormy.
Yeah. OKC, the odds-on favorite to win the West, trying to become the first team to repeat since 2018. They demolished the Suns, Chennai, by 35 points. Does anyone happen to remember what they did to the Grizzlies Game 1 last season?
In fact, I do.
What? Yeah?
I think it was like 51.
It was, they kicked their butts by 51.
There it is,
right there on the screen. And then in the East, the Celtics, they're still the favorites to come out of the conference at DraftKings Sportsbook. Boston, they led the 76ers for all but 41 seconds of Sunday's Game 1. That 32-point win, by the way, the largest in a playoff opener in franchise history. And think of all the great teams that the Celtics have had. All right. Those are the blowouts, Bobby. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to what we've been waiting to see, and that's Victor Wembanyama in his postseason debut.
Extraterrestrial music on deck.
Yes, certainly. We're getting a little spooky. They arrived, though, in all black suits. These were a gift, right? A coordinated gift.
Luke Cornett.
Absolutely.
Or no, Kelly Olynyk. I've seen black when you're going to end a series, not when you're starting a series. They kind of got this backwards.
So maybe this was foreshadowing this move here from Victor, Bobby?
Oh, my goodness gracious. 7 plus doing that.
Tim Duncan and David Robinson are impressed, then you've done something special. Wemby for the slam. Let's take another look at this one here, Chennai, that connection.
Hello, that's too easy.
And then later in the second quarter, Victor dribbles to the corner.
Not fair, again.
Hitting threes.
Shouldn't happen.
In this game, he had 21 in the first half. That's the most in a player's first half in a career, in a play-by-play era. So to the fourth we go. The Spurs up 18 here. This is really when they started to pull away. Wembanyama wills his way inside.
That's good defense. What do you want?
Great defense.
And then less than a minute later,
hand down, man down.
It's you, a guy that can do both. Hits the wing triple.
Put your hand up. What are you going to do?
Next
Good luck.
possession.
Go ahead.
Washer, dryer, spin cycle, turns his way inside out. And then 5.5 to play. The Spurs up by 12. Wemby, he was hitting threes in this game. He finished with 35 points. Here's Wemby on the atmosphere that seemed electric in San Antonio.
It's great to see this many people wear their shirts. I love the animation when they say, wear your shirt. Yeah, you should absolutely wear your shirt if you're coming to the game. The first time I stepped on the court, even for warm-ups, I felt the atmosphere was different. Everybody's ready. I mean, the fans were ready. It's probably the most excited I've seen this arena.
Big day for shirts, yeah? Victor, he also became the first player in NBA history to have 35 points and 5 three-pointers in a postseason debut. By the way, the only other Spurs player with 35 and 5 in any playoff game, oh yeah, that was Mr. Kawhi Leonard in 2017. So, Chennai, how exactly did Wemby change the game from your perspective?
Let's go. Let's go. It's that time. The playoffs demand more than a breakdown. It's time to focus on those who change the game when it matters most. And in his postseason debut, Victor Wembanyama is the youngest center at 22 years old to make at least 5 threes in a playoff game. Let's break it down because he's truly a 3-level scorer, and this is why I call him a game changer. Right here, he wants to play 2-man action with De'Aaron Fox. He's top block, so he knows the option's not there. What does he do? Fox sets a brush screen, he gets to the corner, and he starts going to work. And then he hits you with the beautiful step back. Watch the feet, but focus on the hands because the release, average wrist height, 9.7 feet.
Oh, my God.
On his made 3-point shots. This right here is fully a cheat code, but it does not stop there because he's also got the handle. This was the play that had me off of my couch. Behind the back, attacking downhill, one of the greatest and most mind-blowing scorers. Behind the back, and then finishes there through the contact. How do you guard that? But it's on both levels because it's not just offense, it's also defense here. Kamar trying to attack him. No luck. That's an all hell no. I'm not going to shoot it. But then when you do shoot it, what happens right here? The rim is 10 feet. His reach, standing reach, exceeds that. Victor Wembanyama with a debut for the ages. No player scored when Wemby contested his shot. The sky is the limit, literally, for this guy, a true game changer.
Yeah, and he was doing it in so many different ways here. Really, it was the third quarter where they were able to create that separation, and Victor Wembanyama had his fingerprints all over this game. What did you make of this, Brian?
His confidence level right out of the gate. You know that he even said it felt different. You know, there was going to be jitters. De'Aaron Fox said he felt his teammates were jittery. 21 points in the first half. He instantly, I know he made the three-point shots, but his first few looks were inside. He played inside out, which I always think is really going to make things much easier on him. You know, a couple years ago in the gold medal game, when he played in that huge game in Paris on Saturday night, the game of his life at that point, he had 26 points. He had the first basket of the game. He was not afraid. It did not surprise me he was not afraid. And, you know, I went and looked up some of the other star players of this era and their first playoff games. His performance here applies favorably, basically historically, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
You know what I would be concerned about if I was Portland, and it's not because of Victor or De'Aaron Fox not turning over. It's the non-Wemby minutes.
Yeah.
There was a stretch in that game where Portland came back in the third quarter, and they took Victor out, I think at the 7-minute mark. He didn't come back until the 1-minute mark. San Antonio was a +8.
Right.
Devin Vassell, Stefan Castle,
was huge.
Dylan Harper, Luke Cornett on those lobs, a little bit miniature version of Victor there. That would be my concern, is that when he comes off the court, this San Antonio is a different way to look at them.
I do wonder if in Game 2 an adjustment we see is Donovan Clingan being put on Castle and putting Toumani Camara on Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, when Victor moves out of the paint,
yeah,
Clingan really has no remedy for him. And Castle was 7 of 17 in this game. And I think as we go on, people are going to challenge Castle's jump shooting. It's just the way it's going to be. It's not even so much of an insult. Right. What else can they do?
But even when they pack the paint, then Victor hit 5 threes in this game, Shanae.
What's interesting also as we talk about strategies, it's the physicality, right? Because I think lack thereof, at some points, he was not necessarily overtly doubled. He was not necessarily thrown off. I mean, you can only deal with what you have. If you're the Trailblazers, like, you can only deal with what you have. But Victor, I do think the offseason where he actually bulked up his body paid off. And also the IQ. Wendy, you were the first one saying when the season started, stop settling for those threes, get downhill and attack, and that's what unlocked him on the other side. And so, you know, I don't even know if there's a way to truly make a proper adjustment.
Denny Avdia was playing his first ever playoff game. He had like 10 in the first quarter, and he had 30 for the game. He played very, very well. I know the Blazers probably feel they can do better, but Denny answered the bell too. Victor was just higher.
Did you see that play where he was one-on-one with Victor and then hit him with a little physicality?
That's the way Denny plays.
And that's the way that they're going to try to get someone like Victor Wembanyama off the court. But then, as Bobby pointed out, they have to be able to capitalize on those minutes. But, you know, our friend, our producer, Matt Williams, he predicted that the Trailblazers are going to come back.
I don't like that prediction.
And how many games?
There's a cup of coffee. 6, he said. There's a cup of coffee that we have bet on it. I expect to have my coffee hot. Sticking in the West here, no Luka Doncic, no Kevin Durant, but Shanae, Houston, had a problem. And the problem's name is LeBron James and Luke Kennard. Let's start with LeBron. 19 points, a game-high 13 assists, and that's a biggie. The shorthanded Lakers, they capitalized with no KD in Game 1. LeBron, he became the oldest player, again, adding to that list of oldest player to do things, to have 10 assists in a game in NBA history. But it wasn't just LeBron's playmaking, right? The Lakers' defense. It showed up. It showed out. We've seen it over the course of the season. According to Genius IQ, the Lakers held the Rockets to 38% shooting on shots within 10 feet of the basket in Game 1. Hello, DeAndre Ayton. That is the lowest rate allowed in a Lakers game in this season, which is pretty impressive. But, of course, the story of the game is Kevin Durant. He's out after that injury to his knee. Do we know yet his status for Game 2, Brian?
Later today, they will release an injury report. And, look, nobody knew about this until Friday afternoon when they released the injury report ahead of Game 1. And all of a sudden, Durant popped up as questionable. Right. He went out and warmed up before the game. Look, Kevin Durant has a long history of playing through injuries in the playoffs. In fact, potentially to his detriment when he had that Achilles injury after the calf injury. So this is not a question of whether Durant wants to go. The fact that he was unable to go changed the dynamic of the whole game, potentially could change the dynamic of the whole series. While I agree with you, Malika, that DeAndre Ayton had an excellent game, in fact, outplayed Alperen Sengun.
And that cannot happen if the Rockets want to win this series.
Oh, completely.
But you can't credit the Lakers' defense without acknowledging that the Rockets' offense is a mess without Durant.
Completely agree, because, you know, you gave the great numbers about how they missed shots in the paint or at the rim. Well, that's sort of what happens. That's just the team that they are. They know that they're getting sagged off on the three-point line, so they force a lot lot of shots. But again, you have to credit, because this is one of the best offensive rebounding teams and overall rebounding teams in basketball. And when you're deficient of two of your top stars, to be able to still rise to the occasion, I just love what Luke Kennard actually said after the game. He said, "Oh, what is it like playing with LeBron James at this age, being that effective?" And he said he still trusts us. And to me, that was really special. The fact that it does not matter that we have what, 40 plus points on the bench. He trusts us to make the shots when it matters most. He was 5 for 5. Was it 60? 5 for 5 from 3 for Kennard. He had 27 points.
He should be taking 10 threes. Oh, tell him to take 10 threes again.
Yeah, that will be, and he will get full Amen Thompson treatment when he comes in.
How many threes did the Lakers take in that game?
Only 19. Like, this was such an odd, Bobby.
But here's the question now. We're looking at, would you take Amen Thompson off Luke Kennard and put him on LeBron James? That's the other thing. Like, there's a lot of, like, every game is a different, like, there's a 7-game series, but everything is different game to game. So if you're Houston and you have no Kevin Durant, who played 71% of possessions this year, all of a sudden is not playing. Now, for game 2, if Durant can't go, now do you start Tari Eason, who came off the bench and gave you a good lift? Or do you put Thompson on LeBron here? Because without Durant, your offense is a mess.
I like the Thompson on LeBron, because the only way you can slow LeBron down is by changing his vision, and he's physical, and he can do that. And also that helps your offense, because if he can disrupt, now you have a shorter court for him, and instead of making those threes that they want to force him to do, he actually can get down.
All of that is fine. All of that is good, smart strategy basketball. Somebody in the Rock's got to make a shot. Reece Shepard, 6 of 20, Şengün, 6 of 19. They got to score some freaking points. That's the pathway right now.
And because the question becomes, does Kevin Durant fill that void? Does just having KD back solve their issues? And over the course of the season, as much as Chiney's saying,
yes,
it didn't at all times. All right, we got a lot to get to. We got some more game 1. Saturday night was rocking in the Garden. So did JB and Kat show us something that's sustainable, do you think, for the series, or did the Knicks just land?
Welcome back to NBA Today.
Let's take a little trip, shall we? Here's what the Eastern bracket looks like after the weekend. And all of a sudden, Brian, Cavs corner. They're looking around.
Don't get too confident.
They're seeing a path, but it starts with game 1 here, right?
It starts with game 1. Now you're back on path.
That's where Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, they combined to score or assist on 82 of the team's 126 points. Here's how it happened. We're going to pick this up in the first quarter. The Cavaliers
vintage
down
jerseys.
2 with the vintage. We're calling these jerseys vintage? Okay. James Harden isolates, drains the step back 3, getting going early. This is what they brought him in for.
Yeah, Mamu is not going to defend Harden there. But hey, that's the shot you want to take.
Leave Mamu alone. Mitchell scores on the step back. Nice move there by Mitchell.
Oh, skirt, skirt.
I like the skirt sound effect. Now, late in the second quarter, the Cavaliers up 4. Mitchell kicks it back out to Harden. The Cavs, they're up 61-54 at halftime, and we mentioned just how dominant they were as a duo. Now to the third quarter here, Bobby. The Cavaliers starting to pull away. Harden pulls up over Ingram. You know that's good.
There's a trend here. Everything we've shown is in the half court right now.
Bobby's giving you the keys here at Toronto. Now 15 seconds left in the third. Cavaliers still up 16. Mitchell hits another step-back 3 over Ingram. He finished with 32
Cavs want to play slow. Raptors want to play fast.
And who won that one out? Let's go to New York City. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. They had their 4th playoff game where they each scored 25 points as teammates. Pretty good. Here's how they got it done. We're picking it up with 3 minutes left in the second quarter here. Knicks. Brunson gets it done.
Knicks tape going in full effect. You guys,
vintage Brunson.
This is the problem with the Knicks, to be a Knicks fan, that you get hope so quickly, because the way that they look like the team that was designed to come out of the East. And Brunson, obviously the reigning clutch player of the year.
He is reigning, but he didn't make the finalists, so he's not going to keep it.
Toward the fourth quarter we go. Karl Anthony Towns putting in some work.
Yeah, this was the game for him.
That's the issue. There's no size on this Atlanta team.
Gets all the way to the basket. And then Jalen Brunson kicks it out to Karl Anthony Towns. Cat was feeling pretty good. Let's take a listen after the game.
I like it. Cat didn't force it, but the Cat came out the bag. I like it. Little 2-man game. Go next. I'll take a dub, man. It's all that counts. One more to go.
Look, Jalen got us all going right from the beginning of the game. Cat came on late. Team effort, exactly what we needed.
Got this dub, first game of the series. Very important that you get this first win. Now you can go and prepare and get ready for the second game. Big win, big win. Let's go Knicks!
Our guy Iman got a good seat.
Can we
to that
talk
one.
about him being included with Knicks greats?
Hey,
For the
leave
culture,
guy alone.
baby. For the culture.
All right, how about Karl Anthony Towns? He's trying to become one of those Knicks greats, right? And when he was the primary defender, the Hawks, they were 3 of 12 from the floor, including 1 of 6 on threes. It's the 4th best mark for Cat in his playoff career. All right, let's head a little bit north to Boston. That's where the number 2 seed, the Celtics, they notched their 4th largest playoff win against the 76ers in series history. We know these two teams, they play a lot. It is the 23rd time they have met
3
here.
games last one, not you. I didn't like it. Don't get it for that. Let's keep it that way.
All right, so that's Derek White pregame. We're going to pick this one up midway through the first quarter. This is all Celtics all the way. Jason Tatum, so good to see him back, Chanae, in the postseason.
It's so unfair because he's easing his way back, and he's still an all-NBA type of performer, especially when he's a playmaker or in transition like this.
In transition, once again, Tatum.
That play didn't go the way the 76ers thought.
With the slam.
A number of those.
A lot of that.
And without Joel Embiid, it was always going to be tough there for the 76ers, but it was tough sledding the entire evening. Nice find there. Jaylen Brown, slippery eel, as Kendrick Perkins would say.
Picking them apart like a chicken bone. He was saying.
Boston rolls 123-91. It was, by the way, the 19th time in their postseason careers that both JT and JB scored 25 points. That is the most by any Celtics duo in franchise history. And think of all the Celtics greats. Think of everybody who's put on that uniform. Pretty impressive. They also combined for 10 of the team's 31 assists in this. But in Detroit, it was Paolo Banchero who put on a magical performance as the Magic stole game 1 from Cade Cunningham and the top-seeded Pistons here. So we're going to pick it up with under 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. In the second quarter, rather. Paolo Banchero drains the 3.
He had a super juice that
Their whole starting lineup was going in this game and talking their talk, apparently.
7 minutes left in the
both
third.
ends of the floor.
Cunningham, though, gets to his spot, getting hot at the right time, and then under 6 minutes left in the third, Banchero gets the ball up top, spins in the lane.
Everything downhill. Get downhill, Paulo.
Do you think he heard Tim McMahon, or was this just all,
Trust me, it was more than McMahon.
all on his own? Wendell Carter Jr., huge game for him.
story of the game, that matchup in the paint, he won that by far.
Under 8 minutes left in the quarter. Cunningham drives.
Hezzy.
A little midi. Knocks it down. He had 39 points. That's the most in an opening game of a playoff series in Pistons history. It just was not quite enough. The next play here, Franz Wagner drives.
This was the best he's looked to me in a long time. He looked really springy.
Mean little jam there. And then under 3 minutes left in the third, Wagner drives to the lane, throws a nice little alley-oop to Jalen Suggs. So the Magic, they pull off the upset. They win game 1, 112-101. And the Pistons, they've now dropped 11 straight playoff home games. That extends their lead. They were already leading the league for the longest in NBA history. The last time they won a home playoff game, cast your minds back. It was game 4 of the 2008 conference finals against the Celtics. It was a series they then would lose in 6 games. So we're gonna make a pact, all 4 of us right here, right now. And Brian is gonna lead the charge because you have a rule about the way that we need to think about these things. And what is that rule?
Never, and I mean never, overreact to game 1.
Okay, so can we all agree? Do we agree to that here? We're agreeing.
You
we're
can
agreeing,
react,
we're agreeing.
but you just can't overreact.
So with that in mind, Bobby, how much trouble are the Pistons actually in here?
They better win on Wednesday.
That's
And here's why. The Charlotte win on Friday night woke up a sleeping giant, which we had not seen this year, which was the Orlando Magic defense. Second and third the last 2 years in defensive efficiency. They're now 11-0 this season when holding opponents to 101 points or less. The matchup with Detroit is the perfect matchup for Orlando if they are going to defend. So I have concern. But I will say this, Malika, and I'm going to rewind the clock. I was on a number 1 seed New Jersey Nets team that lost game 1 to an 8 seed Indiana team and want to win that series.
Right.
So, but you better win game 2.
Oh, yeah. To me, I hate to say it. Sorry, Wendy. So does must win not count? Like, you can't say it's
I've just been
game 2 being must win.
so many series where the team lost game 1, and by the end, by game 6, you don't even remember.
But 2 matters, though, because you can't go down 0-2.
I wouldn't advise it.
Okay, you wouldn't advise going down 0-2, but it's going to come down to a couple of matchups, right? And one of them is Jalen Duren cannot lose his matchup to Wendell Carter.
Absolutely. He is an all-star. He averaged 19, almost 20 points per game this season. Instead, he had 8 in the playoff, in this recent game, and he only attempted 4 shots. That, to me, can never happen, especially when Cade Cunningham is the sun when it comes to the universe. Everyone else orbits around him. And when Jalen Duren is able to at least create a shot, it takes pressure off of Cade, because otherwise, while Cade was on the bench, they were -10 as a team, 31% from the floor, whereas the Magic shot 57% with Cade off.
They only had two guys in double figures. And Tobias Harris was 5 of 15 to get to the double figures. You got to give them some help. You got to give them some offensive creation. You got to give them some options. You got to make it harder on the Magic. You just got to make it harder. Forget about not losing. Duren is an all-NBA level player. Duren's got to dominate in the set, whether it's against Carter or not. They need Duren to be awesome in this series.
Well, Duren, and then, we talked so much about how great Dennis Jenkins was for them all year long. They need that second creator. They need him to be playing the way that he was during the regular season. But we're not overreacting, okay? Coming up on our show, Shams, he's with us. We got an update on Anthony Edwards' status tonight against the Nuggets. Plus, with a long offseason ahead in the Bay Area, did we just see the end of a dynasty? We know that there's tough decisions the Warriors now face margin in a playoff game since that data was tracked. And then the Nuggets, they rallied for a double-digit win over Minnesota. Nikola Jokic, his 22nd triple-double of his playoff career. And then Jamal Murray, he poured in 30 points, including 16 of 16 from the line. And then with no KD for Houston, LeBron, the Lakers, they grabbed game 1, even though they didn't have Luka or Austin Reeves. LA, they shot 61% from the field, their best in a playoff game since 1990. But of course, the story of that game was Kevin Durant out after injuring his knee in practice. So for more on this, we say hello to our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, game 1's in the past, but Houston fans, they are wondering. They are hanging on to your every word here. And by Houston fans, I'm looking at Chene. What do we know about KD's status for game 2?
Look, Kevin Durant's status for game 2 is up in the air. And my understanding is Kevin Durant is dealing with a deep bruise in his right patellar tendon that he suffered last Wednesday during a practice drill when he was chasing after a loose ball and collided that knee with a teammate. And that has since caused swelling, pain. It's impacted his range of motion in the leg as well. And for Kevin Durant to miss a playoff game, that speaks to the severity of the injury in and of itself. And the Rockets, they're optimistic that Kevin Durant is going to be able to return as soon as game 2, but it remains to be seen, just depending on how that knee, that leg responds to this deep bruise in the patellar tendon.
Yeah, he warmed up ahead of the game, and I watched that video, Shams. It didn't look like he was moving quite right or comfortably. The good news here for Houston is that this series, it's spread out, right? They don't play tomorrow, or rather, they don't play today. They play on Tuesday, so they have a little bit more time here to be able to recover if KD's going to be able to go. So we got that in the future. Let's talk about something a little bit more immediate. Unfortunately, more injuries. Let's talk about Anthony Edwards. He had 22 points in 38 minutes in game 1, but he is questionable for tonight, game 2. What's the chances that we're going to see him playing?
Look, Anthony Edwards is going to be playing tonight. He's a Wolverine. He's going to gut through it. And right now, what Anthony Edwards has is, I'm told, runner's knee in his knee. Very similar to what Stephen Curry dealt with. You deal with inflammation, swelling, pain. It got to a point late in the regular season. Sources told me Anthony Edwards needed a PRP injection to reduce the swelling and inflammation. And this is an injury that requires rest for his recovery. There's no time for that in the playoffs. Yes, there's a day or two in between these games, and that is going to provide some alleviation, but he really needs that extended rest. You're not going to get that come playoff time. But Anthony Edwards, everyone that knows him, he's a Wolverine. He's going to try to play, and he will be playing here tonight.
Yeah, he's a Wolverine. That's another. Yeah, that's a good way to put it for someone who plays for the Timberwolves. Shams, thank you very much for that insight. So I guess, friends, the question isn't, is Anthony Edwards going to play? It's what is Anthony Edwards going to look like, and is it going to be enough?
And they're going to need it. You know, I really felt like that was a winnable game in game 1 for Denver. It wasn't like the Nuggets played poorly, but they didn't play their best.
For the Timberwolves.
It was a winnable game for the Timberwolves, sorry.
Right.
The Nuggets, you know, Jamal Murray goes 16-16 at the line, but
Aaron Gordon picked up 3 fouls in the first couple of minutes.
Jamal
is
7-22 from the field. Jokic was very good, but not like super elite like he's been. It looks like without Peyton Watson, David Adelman's going to rely on about 7 players. He'll have a couple other guys come out there, but they're playing a tight, short rotation. So when you get in foul trouble, it's even more affects them. There is a window there. I say that because I would point out that Denver has won 13 games in a row. Even teams that were trying not to beat them at the end of the regular season got beat by them. Or they were trying not to win, they got beat by them. And if you get in a situation where you've got to win 4 out of 5 against a team that's that hot, you don't want to be in that spot.
I think there's 2 things for me. I think the first is you've got to keep Denver off the free throw line. They took 33 free throw attempts. There were, I think, a minus 14 in makes. In my little notepad.
How do you read that? Wait, for the viewer, like just so we can show Director Ray, if we can just show this is how Bobby prepares for the show. My man is prepared.
So now you threw me off. So you got to keep him off the free. You got to throw him off the free throw line. And I want a better version of Julius Randle.
Right.
That's what I need. I need him to be there, especially if Anthony Edwards is a little bit limping here with the knee. I want a better version. I think 6 for 16 in that game. That was not in my notes, 6 for 16.
You know what's interesting? You mentioned 2 things that I think are key. 6 for 16, or Julius Randle's impact, right? Being better. The fact that the starting lineup combined for 83 points for the Timberwolves, like that was absolutely a winnable game. When I look at it, in reverse, or at least on tape, the runs that the Nuggets had was much more timely than the runs that the Timberwolves had. And if they had better timed runs or scoring outputs or Julius being more effective, then they could have walked out there with a win on the road.
Also, they made a big investment in Naz Reid, and they need Naz Reid to deliver in these types of games. Sorry to interrupt you.
But I also want to... Sometimes when your shot isn't falling, Jamal Murray was 0 for 8 or so from 3. I do like how he found a way to get to the free throw line. You mentioned 33 free throws they shot or so. He had half of them. And to me, that's like the sign of maturity. This has been the year of a great big step for Jamal Murray. He played more games than probably he ever has in his career. He was a first-time All-Star. When Jokic in the first quarter at least was trying to find his game because the physicality that Rudy Gobert was providing, he had a good game. Well, go ahead, Malika.
That was the other thing for the Timberwolves is wasting a game that Rudy Gobert was that good.
Yes.
You can't do that on the road in Denver. However, if we, at the risk of parroting Brian Windhorst, when we look back to that 7-game series that they had last year, the Wolves, they took 2, right, on the road in Denver. Then they lost 3 straight games, and everyone thought they were COOKED. And then they came back and were able to win, including that insane comeback from down 20. I don't know that that's the recipe with a hurt Anthony Edwards.
I would just say this team in Minnesota has a lot of playoff equity. They've been in a lot of tough spots. They've won 4 playoff series the last couple of years for a reason. Underestimate them at your own peril.
And here's Brian with cool heads prevailing because Perk isn't here to say keep a cool booty about game 1s and what they mean. All right, let's move on here. We gotta shoot our shot. Or Janae does. It's time for Shoot Your Shot. It's brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Janae, tonight's parlays. What you got, sis?
All right, I'm gonna start off with, of course, the guy who averaged a triple-double. I'm gonna say he's going to get more than 10 assists because he averaged around 11, and so this is like a layup for him. Also, moving forward, Aaron Gordon had himself a game. He was always at the right place at the right time. He is going to have more impact because of Rudy Gobert's performance. I think he's going to get more rebounds as well. And last but not least, Cat. Big Cat, he's back. He feels good in this series. He attacked it not only in the paint, but also knocked down his 3-point shot. So I expect another big performance, 20-plus points from him.
Fast math time. All right, that parlay gives you a plus 416 odds. That's better than 4-1. $10 wins you 41.60. We've got Nikola Jokic to dish out 10-plus assists, Aaron Gordon with at least 7 rebounds, and Big Cat to score 20.
Hey, pick on me, not Perk.
All customers can get a profit boost every day of the NBA playoffs. Download the app and use the promo seasons late in the fourth quarter. Steve Kerr, he shared a moment. We're going to show it to you in just a minute with Steph and with Draymond, and it got us wondering whether or not this was going to be the final moment of his career.
I don't know what's going to happen next, but I love you guys to death, and I thank you. I appreciate you.
I'm happy, we got to share that moment and that Steve was in the moment, right? Like capturing, like he didn't miss the moment. If you ask me, I don't know that he's coming back. If you want my opinion, just with all the talk that's been going around and all, if you ask on my opinion, I think not. Just because it just feels like that. I don't know. It just, I hope he's our coach next year. I also hope I'm on this team next year. We also don't know that, which we'll get into. But I don't know, man. It felt like that was it.
So Draymond did say something different a couple of days ago, but this is what he was saying today. And if this is the end of an era, as teammates, Steph Curry and Draymond Green, they did more winning than any other duo since becoming teammates in 2012, 2013. And the vast majority of those wins, they came under Steve Kerr, who led those two to 4 NBA titles, of course, in 12 seasons as head coach with Golden State. But now the questions come. And the biggest one is, what's next? What is next for the Golden State Warriors? And our insider, Anthony Slater, he has an awesome story up on ESPN.com right now with Ramona Shelburne, and he joins us now. So, Slater, you go through a litany of questions that the Golden State Warriors are going to have to answer this summer. But I think there's no one bigger that it starts with, what's next for Steve Kerr? What do we know?
Yeah, and there's no one more urgent either. They need to, as I've heard, they need to figure out this coaching situation. Steve stays or goes in the next, couple weeks before they get to lottery, draft, free agency, Draymond's future, all of that. And Steve Kerr said he needs a little time. He spent this weekend away. They're back in the facility today. They're doing some exit interviews with some of the more rotation players. But I'd expect his conversations with management that matter the most to happen, in the coming week. Maybe, as soon as Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, as they figure out a direction for this franchise. And management wants to hear from Steve Kerr. Number one, does he want to be back? And if he does want to be back, is it full throttle in? Is it, the nitty-gritty details of the job, trying to squeeze out every win? Like, they don't want next season to just be framed as a last dance. He's only there for the loyalty of riding out the Steph Curry era. They want to kind of get back, in the mix and refresh this thing, and they want a coach that's refreshed to do that.
Yeah, and they've said that as long as Steph Curry is on the roster, they want to continue to put together a team that is going to try to compete, because that is what Steph Curry, one of the all-time greats, deserves. So we'll continue to monitor what happens with Steve Kerr. But you mentioned the draft lottery. There's a lot of questions that Golden State still needs to answer beyond Steve Kerr. What do you think are the biggest?
Well, I'll start here. We reported it today. Mike Dunleavy, the general manager, he signed an extension, a few months ago.
Right.
And that stabilizes the front office. We know they're kind of making the decision. And then you look at the bigger names. Look, you mentioned the draft lottery. 11th odds, it's possible they move up. But Steph Curry's future, he kind of clarified it, I thought, the other night. He said he wants to play multiple more seasons, and he will look, to have contract extension talks with the Warriors later in the summer. Draymond Green's more of an unknown. You heard it on his podcast. He doesn't know if he's going to be back. And I think Steve Kerr's future is a domino that could affect Draymond and others on the roster besides Steph Curry.
Absolutely. Slater, thank you so very much for your insight. We will continue to check in with you as these decisions are made by the Golden State Warriors. Enjoy the Mile High City for now. It is, though, I think worth mentioning, the Warriors, they did take the next step in rekindling the franchise, right? That's why they traded for Jimmy Butler, and they went 44-20 with Steph Curry, Green, and Butler all available. But then the injury bug bit, and they started to pile up, and Golden State only managed a 21-40 record in the 61 games where at least one of their big three was missing. So, Bobby, you've been in front offices that have had to make difficult decisions, emotional decisions over the years. So I put on your Mike Dunleavy hat and maybe his hair here, and just what are the decisions that he is going to be facing? How would you address them?
Well, Anthony addressed the Steve Kerr situation.
Right.
We're going to kind of put that on an island by itself. I think it starts with the lottery and where they're drafting, and we're going to come up on the big touchscreen here in a minute. They've got the 11th pick going in. There's a 2% chance of moving up. The likelihood is they're going to stay at 11 here. And then it's kind of building around Curry and Green and Butler, but you're probably not getting Butler back until after the 1st of January somewhere. And when you look at the roster against the Clips, they're better suited for like those one game series than those 82 game series. So it's threading the needle as far as putting a winner around Curry, but also kind of protecting what you have, some of your future assets. Remember, they've got 3 first-round picks besides the 11th pick in the draft to move in a deal.
Okay, so help me sew and thread this needle here, Brian.
Well, look, that in mid-season they were aggressively going after Giannis Antetokounmpo. Mm-hmm. They were willing to offer up to 4 first-round picks in that deal. They could revisit those talks or have another target in this offseason. They know they were going to be aggressive. But when it comes to Steve Kerr, just point something out. He makes $17 million. He's the highest paid head coach in the NBA. And Anthony Slater and Ramona Shelburne reported today that if he comes back, they may want some strategy staff changes. Do they want salary changes too?
Right.
How many different concessions are they going to ask him to make, and is that a factor here?
And what Anthony Slater just said that actually opened my eyes a little bit, he said refresh. He didn't say reset. And to me, that small distinction shows that they still want to be competitive with their core and they don't want to strip the whole thing down.
So, Bobby, where does the draft fit into all of this?
Yeah, so I'm gone a month, and you guys got me a new tool to play with, a new toy here. I think if we spin this lottery, we mentioned where Golden State is. They're at 11. If we spin this a couple times, the likelihood is that they're going to stay at 11 here. Here's kind of where you're staring at. If we kind of remove some of the top players here, certainly A.J. DeBonsa, it's still a